And I'm waiting for that little circle to stop because I'm not sure when I'm actually live. I am live. Well, good. Well, thank you for tuning in to part 2 of our Black Coffee on a High Mountain 3-day series. And the story that we're talking about is El Nu. Now, you'll want to probably listen to the YouTube version. You can go to my YouTube channel, Bruce Langeman, and a picture of me comes up and you hit it and it'll go there and you'll have part 1 of El Nu. Tonight is part 2 and tomorrow is part 3. 3 12-minute portions of the story that I wrote that I think is really appropriate at this time. And I'll explain that in a little bit. Ruthie's not here right now because we have some family over and they're celebrating. Cameo and Travis and their new baby, Valor, is here celebrating Ruthie's birthday, that she will be 64 years old in 4 hours and 58 minutes. So you can send her some birthday wishes or buy her a car or send her $1,000 or something like that, whatever you want to do. So anyways, kids and adult, I don't know how to know. I think it's, can't tell how many people are actually on here. So if you want to just private message me, just go to my name and send me a message. Tell me you were on or you listened to it. Or I think there's a place on the side where you can write a comment and say, we're here. I'd like to know some of you. I know all of you won't do that, but that's okay. If a couple of you do, that'd be good. A little bit of review of last night. Max comes up the mountain to visit Gramps. And Max, and in the stories that I wrote, Max comes up and is always asking advice, and Gramps has unique advice for his grandchildren. And so anyways, he came up and he said he had a problem that it's like God didn't make days long enough because he was so busy. Why did God make the day so short? And so Gramps, in his style, begins telling the story of El Nu. And it's in the land of Swandi. It's on an island, and the people are called Swandians. And an angel comes one day because everybody in Swandi was so busy, and an angel comes and says that he is going to extend the length of the days to 36 hours. So that means they had a lot of time to do all the things that they never did and wanted to do. And then all the people just got very excited about this, and they started to do all the things they wanted to do. And then one day in the square, an old wise man named El stood up, and this old man said, I want to warn you that the angel said the length of days would be changed only to a certain time in the future. He said, my warning is that we take the extra length of days and don't fill it with extra responsibilities. He said, if you do not heed my advice, I fear that you will find yourself in great trouble when the day returns to 24 hours. And they all agreed and says, yes, we will not forget this. And I ended yesterday's story, but they remembered the words of El and followed them closely. But soon wisdom began to fade. And that was the end of story 1. Now, before I go on, the reason I'm reading the story now is because so many of us have extra time. On a video I did 2 weeks ago, I said, I believe God is giving every one of us, allowing this. He's using this time to give us extra time to pray, to seek him, to better ourselves, to read books, to spend time with the family and do those things that the Swandians didn't do because they were so busy and they were given time. But we've been giving time. What are we doing with that time? Kids, I want to say even to you, what are you doing with all this extra time? Are you walking around moping, I don't have anything to do? Read a book. Learn how to do something. because you won't believe what happened in the land of Swansea. We'll start into chapter 4, okay? Wisdom begins to fade. Gramps said, "Now, where was I, Max?" "I never know where you are, Gramps." "Oh, yes. Well, one whole year and 26 days passed since the days became 36 hours. And lo and behold, El passed on to the land of angels. Everybody mourned his death because he had always been wise and instructed them in the art of how to walk in great character. And he also taught everyone how to fix electromagnetic devices. But along with the death of El came the death of all the things that El taught them. But alas, gradually, things began to change. At first, people started staying at their businesses a few hours longer. Then people started joining more responsibility groups like parent groups at school and community awareness groups. And some people were elected to public offices, and some people joined 20 committees at church, even though they didn't join the other 70 committees. None of these things were bad, Max, but slowly they began doing too much of the good things. Businessmen took new clients, and doctors took more patients, and investors made more investments. And schools, again, had more meetings. They even added more sports like synchronized swimming and extreme duck, duck, goose, goose. There were more town projects, and people decided to build additions on their houses simply because they had time. Before long, Max, the whole island of Swansea was just as busy with the 36 hours days as they were when the days were only 24 hours long. Then again, children became rebellious, and wives cried because their husbands didn't have time to talk about problems and why he isn't disciplining the kids. People didn't have real close friends as much, and they stopped playing horsey with their little infants. Before long, everybody was complaining, just like you, Max. The days were too short. There just isn't enough time to do what we need, they would scream, just like you did, Max. And this went on for several years. They forgot about the angel, and they forgot what El said and what El knew. Then one night, there was a bright flash in the sky over Gemolt's ranch. Everybody ran to see what the bright flash was. Alas, it was an angel. But this time the angel didn't say anything. He just stood on Gemolt's roof and stared at the people. Many people thought it was the same angel that appeared several years ago to change the length of days. They remembered how excited they had been. Such a kind angel. But why was he here again? Someone screamed, to make the day even longer. Yes, that was it. He was here to bless them again so that they could do all the things that they wanted to do but didn't have the time. Everyone believed this was the reason the angel came. They shouted and talked of all the things that they were to do in their extra time, just like they did when the days were changed from 24 to 36 hours. 2 weeks went by, and the angel still hadn't spoken. It was soon time for the annual festival. Mayor Vizviz suggested that the festival be held at Gemolt's Ranch to celebrate the friendly angel and to retell the story of the angel to the younger children who hadn't been born at his last visit. And that's what they did. One by one, they went to the stage and told their memories and testimonials of what had happened a few years ago. Lilioti said she was going to study cures for murgatroyds, and Beth said she was excited about dusting off her treadmill to get stronger, of course. Beth? Gramps, you mean someone had a normal name? Well, Max, Beth was adopted from the USA, Max. Oh, of course, Gramps. I should have figured that one out. But there was one Swandian, Max, named Percus, who during the festival remembered something that gave him a sick feeling in his tummy. You mean stomach? Tummy. Stomach. Now, where was I? But there was one Swandian named Percus who during the festival remembered something that gave him a sick feeling in his tummy. It was what El had warned them about many years ago. People had forgotten the wisdom of El. The feeling in Percus's tummy became so strong that he knew he would have to say something. So he stepped up to the stage and cried, "My fellow Swandians, a thought of anxiety hath passed through my mind, and presently hath produced exceeding nausea in my gut. I remembered the words of the great El, who warned us never to make the extra hours a permanent part of our day, lest we suffer great distress if the angel were to change the length of day back to 24 hours again. The distress in me fears the possibility that the angel's return is not to extend our day again, but to reduce the day to what it was and hath previously always been." Well, Percus stepped back from the microphone and immediately became the target of the wrath of the crowd. "Negative talk," one shouted. "What did El know? He was old-fashioned," shouted another. "Words of death," chanted a group of youth on the west side of the crowd near the hot dog stand, which also sold sensational fried chicken livers. The tumult became so violent that Percus began to get scared. His wife, Glathy, rushed up on stage and grabbed Percus with a protective hug while screaming, "Stop, stop, listen to him." "Gramps, only tiny kids say scared. It's scared. How long have you had this dementia?" "Would you stop interrupting, boy?" Where was I? During this eruption, the crowd failed to notice that the angel began to stir. His plush wings began to move as he relocated and hovered over the crowd. Suddenly, one saw him and screamed, "Look, the angel moved." The crowd was silenced. Everyone waited in suspense to see what the angel was going to do or say. Then he spoke. "I hereby warn all the residents of Swandi that as of the 4th day of the coming month, the days will be shortened to 18 hours. Then he spread his majestic wings and flew away. The crowd was stunned. They didn't know what to think or what to do. Slowly, anger began to spread through the crowd. "This is unfair," screamed one. "Our lives are ruined. Nobody will be able to recover from this," yelled someone else. "We are doomed," and everyone agreed. After an hour or two of panic, Brillo stepped up to the pad and spoke to the crowd. He said, "Friends and fellow Swandians, there are a few things we must consider. First, nobody was ever quite sure that the angel who just spoke was the same angel who blessed us many years ago with longer days. Are we sure that this angel is not a counterfeit sent by the devil, the enemy of God?" "Of course," they all remarked. "Why didn't we think about this right away? We assumed that this angel was the same one. What a crazy mistake we made." Then one by one, they went to the stage and shared their thoughts. They said things such as, "Our kind creator would never do such a hard thing. He is loving. The enemy just wants us to walk in fear for 2 weeks. Another one said, "From the beginning, I thought this angel was sort of resembled Darth Vader, didn't you?" They all agreed. "Hey," shouted Shershan, "we have 2 weeks to pray to the Almighty to counteract the curse of this wicked entity from the pit." And that's what they did. But that was not a good decision. That's the end of part 2. The conclusion is 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Hey, Thanks for tuning in. And if you want to listen to it again, you can go to my YouTube channel. And I'll tell you what, we'll see you tomorrow night. All right. Very good.